Well, good morning and welcome to Whitmix's webinar, Navigating Through the New Digital Denture Landscape with Mark Williamson. My name is Bernie Jaroslaw and I'm the Marketing Director for Whitmix, and I'll be facilitating this morning. So I'd like to begin with a couple housekeeping items. If you look in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you should see a questions box, and that's for you to feel free to type in questions throughout the presentation. Mark won't be answering those until the end, but as long as they're written, I'll see them and I will ask Mark the questions at the end, and you'll get your answers verbally. Next, if you are a CDT, this webinar is approved for 1 hour of CE credit towards your recertification. And how that's going to happen is you'll receive an email within 1 to 2 days, and it'll explain exactly how you'll obtain your credit. But I will tell you that the way you do that is to fill out a test, to answer 10 questions on a test. So take some notes, pay attention, and send in the form that you'll see once you get the email. And lastly, the webinar is being recorded. So within about 48 hours also, it'll be up on the Whitmix website in our webinar section. So you'll be able to access that anytime, and credit can always be had. CDT credits can also be had going forward once it's up on the website. So this morning I have the pleasure of introducing Mark Williamson. Mark's a CDT, DTG, is a certified dental technician, of course, and a member of the Dental Technicians Guild, and he's a senior technical manager for Ottawa Dental Lab in Ottawa, Illinois. Mark has 37 years of experience in dentures, implants, partials, and ceramics. His certification is in full dentures, and he's also a COIS recognized specialist. I have the pleasure of announcing that Mark was named Technician of the Year by his peers at the NADL's Vision 21 meeting just this past week. So congratulations, Mark. After 7 years as an apprentice in a boutique removable lab, he and his wife, Allie, founded Essex Dental Lab, a full-service laboratory which they ran for 13 years. In 2007, Mark and Allie merged their business with Ottawa Dental Lab, where they've been a part of the Ottawa family since. Mark is an experienced chairside all-on-4 specialist and teaches other technicians to master chairside conversions. His latest success came in September 2017 when he was announced the first place winner of the Panthera Dental Masters Cup. Today, in part 1 of the series, as you know, we'll be doing this next week for part 2, same time, same station. Mark will be focusing on the top digital denture manufacturing techniques available today to laboratories and dentists. You'll learn the advantages of manufacturing digital dentures in your own lab and or partnering with an outside source. Mark will highlight these systems and discuss options available to mill or print digital dentures. So that's all I've got, Mark. So if you're ready, let's talk about digital dentures.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate Whitmix for having me and speaking with everyone today. I haven't done many webinars, so if you bear with me, I think we'll get through it okay. I love this topic, being a removable technician. Like Bernie said, 37, actually it'll be 38 years next month when I started in February, 38 years ago, and it's been an industry that I've just fell in love with. And so doing digital dentures, when we heard about it years and years ago, I thought it wasn't something that I would see in my lifetime. I thought, well, maybe towards the end of my career, but boy, it's really come on fast. And, there's a lot of good about digital dentures. There's some bad, but I think some of the bad might just be material-wise and getting them up to the par where we're at now. But I think as materials change, we'll get better. So today is just kind of an overview of some of the main systems that are out there that your laboratory can do. You know, a lot of this you can find obviously through their websites, Google, things like that. So let's get started. All right, Bernie, do you have my screen locked?
I do not. I don't have any control of your screen.
Okay. It's not changing for me here. Do you have control of my screen at all? Because it won't let me do anything.
Well, I don't. I've not had this before. No, I don't have any way of controlling your screen. For those of you who are listening, we are in two different locations where we both signed on to the webinar, but I don't know how you're.
Okay, here we go. I got it.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So, just like Bernie said, you know, he's already kind of introduced me, so we don't need to go over that again, but at least it's a picture so you can kind of see, if you don't know me, who I am. That's me. And yeah, like Bernie said, I was honored to be named CDT of the year, and I share that with all the CDTs that are out there today and maybe future CDTs. So took a lot of hard work, and over the years wasn't something that, you know, just did in a few years, but it was nice to get the recognition. You know, dental technicians were not used to getting awards, you know, working all night or weekends, and no one's coming up and giving you an award for doing that, right? So, but I appreciated that. So obviously, why are we doing this? Why are all the manufacturers in the rush to kind of get digital dentures going? Because you know, there are a lot of dentures being made over the years. It's just a huge demand. You know, 9 million dentures a year are being done in the U.S. That's going to keep growing. Labs are shrinking. There's, you know, less laboratories. It's hard to find good trained dental technicians that you can get to come in and work with you. So we have to try to find alternate ways. And with the digitalization, you know, that has definitely helped. And a lot of laboratories nowadays already kind of have the equipment. They already have a scanner, they already have a mill, might be doing it for their crown and bridge, and so now you can get into doing more removable, gives you an opportunity to get into that market there. So Stephen Balshi, you know, kind of wrote about this in an article 2017, basically same thing that we kind of already know. You know, very difficult to find high quality removable dental technicians. So like what I like to call the not so early years, we're only talking back in 2011, there was a company that was started, Global Dental Science, and we know it as Avident, came into Phoenix and, you know, wanted to create 150 manufacturing jobs in 1 year and an initial investment of $5 million. So they knew that this was coming and they wanted to be a part of it. In 2013, Andy Jackson and Joshua Jackson wrote an article about the new frontier of digital dentures. And like I said, it doesn't seem that long ago, right? I mean, we're in 2019 and this just seems a few years ago, but basically talking about how the standard in the industry is going to be digitalization, digital impressions, STL files that we could, you know, send to any sort of manufacturing system, whether it be printing or milling, scanning models, scanning impressions. So this was back in 2013, talking about, you know, this new frontier. Again, 2014, Robert Whistler talking about the digital process for fabricating complete denture in its infancy stage was only 2014. 2017, there were 4 ways on the market that you could fabricate digital dentures. Some of them we'll be talking about today, the Mertz, the Avident, Ceramil, Kulzer. And in 2018, here we are. It's no longer a novelty now. So as you can see, it's moving very fast. Whitmick's own Sherry Weatherby, kind of talked about how laboratories who have kind of removable laboratories that have gotten into it and doing some digital dentures, maybe scanning and designing, doing their partials, now have the equipment, to kind of get in and do maybe the Crown and Bridge side, where you see the Crown and Bridge laboratories that are now getting into the digital denture market because they have the equipment, and now vice versa. The removable people now could get in and with some training do some crowns or implant crowns. So you have the technology already. So the leaders in digital dentures, we kind of all see that. We're kind of inundated with some of the magazines out there that kind of show us, who are the big players in here. I mean, we have obviously 3Shape, Amann Girrbach, Avident, Denture, Exocad, Colzer, every manufacturer out there is trying to come up with a way for us technicians to select and choose a system that might work best for us. And then there's inundated with printers, right? And I think every day we get emails and trade magazines kind of showing us all the equipment that's available, and they're not cheap systems, right? Some are very cost effective, some aren't. You've got Colzer, you've got Whitmix, you got Stratus, Formlabs, Carbon, it's a big one. And so you have your choice of closed systems, open systems, and I think we'll talk a little bit more about that in part 2. But today I do want to touch base on the Avident system, a little overview of how that works, the Ivoclar system, the Colzer system, Amann Girrbach, a little bit about the Carbon printer and the materials that they have, and also Blue Sky Bio. We'll talk a little bit about that. So let's start with Avident. So Avident, obviously, like we said, it's been around a while. Dentsply kind of saw that this was a very viable market, and I kind of entered a partnership with them in 2016. Avident's already done over 110,000 patients. I don't know when this number was recorded, but I'm sure it's a lot more by now. They project in 2024 that 43% of the dentures are going to be digital. I mean, it's only 5 years from now. And who knows? We'll see, right? We'll see if that number is big, or maybe it was low. Maybe it's going to be more than that. So we'll have to wait and see. It's kind of an exciting time. So the biggest selling point to digital denture manufacturing is less chair time. They predict, about up to 50% savings in time for our clinicians that we work with. That it helps them chair time, and that their chair time is worth a lot of money. So it's very important, and it's a very important item that you could share with your client and help them save time and money. They'll really appreciate that. And less patient visits. I think as far as post-op, one of the nice things we see that with the printed dentures is the fit. It's kind of undeniable about the fit. I think maybe people might talk about the aesthetics, obviously, and what's the wear, how is that going to hold up. I mean, I think we'll still see. I think that's going to come to a point here. But you do Avident dentures, and you do them in 2 appointments. Get all your impressions, take your bite registration, get that scanned, and you could actually send them a finished product if you want. And I think as denture technicians, we're used to always doing a try-in, right? We're used to doing maybe a second try-in, maybe a third try, and trying to capture that. So the biggest point of this is trying to capture all the data that's needed on the front end. And we'll talk a little bit about that also. Again, less dental laboratories, hard to find technicians. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why we're doing this, one of the main reasons. Less lab time, as far as getting it scanned and getting it manufactured compared to the conventional way. It's quite a big drop. Now, these are numbers, and if you're doing it best case scenario, I think if you're going from an impression, scanning the bite, designing, and just going straight to finish, I think that's how these numbers are kind of being thrown at us here. But if we do it a little bit more traditional, maybe do the try-in, it does add a little bit more time. So And the lead time, from Avident to get something made from them is about 8 days. Actually it's less, if you send them a scan and you wait for the design, and then if you have them manufactured, it could be. But they offer a program, a share program, where you can do the scans, and we'll talk about that. And you can actually do some of the manufacturing in your own laboratory, not having to have Avident do that. So let's talk about the share program. So this, if you were to partner with Avident, how the share program kind of works is you need to get the bite registration in your impressions. So from on the clinical side, the first start. And all these systems, I might sound like I'm beating a dead horse as we go through this, but all these systems pretty much start the same way. We have to capture this information. We have to have it. It's pretty viable. And we want to make sure it's accurate, right? I mean, I think we kind of do that with bite rims when we send them out. We're hoping when we get it back, we have a midline marked, and we have a shade, and we have study model and things like that. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't really get that. So some of the methods that they have that they like, you can do the conventional technique. If you don't want to have your doctor to try to do the Avident system where you have to use trays and impression material and their bite recordings, you don't have to. You can still do it traditional, where you're pouring your models, you're scanning your models, you're making bite rims, and when you get it back, the thing that changes, you don't even have to articulate it. You can just scan it and get it into your system, and you're ready to start designing. If you want to duplicate the patient's existing dentures, take a wash inside their existing dentures, and that way they're not without anything, and now you have the key component. You have, basically a study model, right, of where you're going to try to duplicate or replicate. And then Avident also has this Wagner Easy Guide system that you can do. So really important. These are the 6 keys to successful Avident digital denture. And it's not just Avident, it's all these systems. You have to have a midline. We need to know where we're going to set the teeth. We need to have a proper centric relation. We need a proper occlusal vertical dimension. We need to know interior tooth size, study model. So that's why taking a wash inside their duplicate denture would be very helpful, because we have that right there in front of us, and we can scan that in and kind of do an overlay of our teeth and make sure we match it exactly. You need to know the proper lip support, okay? Where we're, if you're doing bite rims, we need to make sure that's built out where it's needed, not just, where we made the bite rim and nothing was added or reduced, unless that happens to be perfect. And then obviously the inside the ledge location. So these are the 6 main factors in all the systems, not just Avident. So again, we get the impressions, you get the bite registration, you get it scanned into your scanner. You can use exocad, you can use 3Shape. I'm sure you can use any of the scanners out there you can use, as long as you can get an STL file that you can upload and send to Avident. Avident will now get it. They'll get it basically designed for you, but when you get the file back, you're able to modify that setup. So if you want to characterize the anterior teeth, you want to put a diastema in, you want to change the occlusal point, you want to, whatever you want to do, you have the freedom to do that. So that's kind of nice, but they do set it up for you. So that was kind of one of the things that when we first saw this system was like, well, I thought I get to design it, and it's like, well, no, they need to get it set up for you, but you can alter that and have full control. So that's really nice too. And then you can manufacture. You can mill or print yourself. They have different products for you to use. You can use your own. You can print it on any sort of printer with any print material. I like doing a try-in. I think I'm old school. I still want the patient, be able to make sure the bite is correct, right? I mean, we want to make sure that everything is going well. And what's nice about a printed try-in is the patient can wear that for a few days. If they want to go home and, put it in, it's probably not the most aesthetic. I wouldn't go around to the mall or anything with it, but they can go home, they can eat with it, sit with, kind of wearing it, just kind of making sure it fits well, the bite's good, and before you go and make the final prostheses. So that's a plus. It's not going to have the same shading, at least right now they don't. You have one try-in material, it's a whitish color, but you're not going to be able to get an A1, A2. Now, there are different techniques you can do where you can cut the teeth off and, set teeth to it if you want, and you want to see the shade and do somewhat of more of a conventional wax trying on a digital base. By all means, you can do that. And then you can take it to finish. You can do it by printing. You can do it by milling. And, it's totally up to you. And one of the best things about it is the exceptional fit, like I said, and the bite. And some of the ones we haven't done a lot, we're newer at it, but some of the cases we have done have been extremely well received by the doctor and the patient. They really like the fit. The bites were spot on. Maybe a little denture base adjustment, maybe for a little overextension or something, but all in all, went very well. Even from just doing a scan, a setup, and going straight to finish, and also doing try-ins, they both have worked very well. So that's kind of nice. And here's a picture you can kind of see. This is the try-in material. If you wanted to put some wax on the facial, the flange, if you could. Some people put composite, however you want. Obviously, the more time you spend with it, the more labor and time. But I think for a try-in, this works pretty well. And they also do over dentures and hybrids. They also have pucks and things that you can get for manufacturing, since you're a partner with them. They have all different types of shades, different heights of pucks, 20 millimeters to 36 millimeters, different systems, different pucks that are available. The one thing that's really nice is Avident offers this is the monolithic XCL1 material. It's a denture that they fabricate. You can't fabricate it, but they'll make it for you. And I thought this, be nice, a nice durable denture. Maybe even for an all-on-4 type conversion where you don't have single teeth popping or breaking off. It's solid, one piece. The XCL1 is for monochromatic teeth, probably not the most aesthetic, but I have seen them, and it actually isn't bad. It's not bad at all. But they do have a polychromatic version, which is the XCL2, same technology, same everything, except a little bit more translucency, a little bit more better aesthetics. So again, they do offer different partnerships, and you can do whatever you want. Obviously, there's three different types of partnerships you can do. So you can go to their website and obviously read more about it and see if that's something for you. Again, this is some of the highlights of just digital dentures in general, right? The fit, very biohygienic, with the less residual monomer, digital occlusion. The setups I feel are really accurate, really nice. I think with tweaking it and working with the designs, some of the software, I think, especially with Avident's kind of built in with making sure that the teeth are in proper occlusion. So, yeah, so I can't say, I think it's a very nice system. I think it's a good system to maybe get started in if you haven't really done anything, and at least it offers you an option, and, to get into it. And, and they've been around a while. They're probably, one of the leaders, obviously, in digital dentures right now. So let's move on. The next system, Ivoclar. Digital denture. A lot of you have probably seen this if you're on social media. A lot of people talking about it. It's not a economy system. It's pretty robust. It has a nice price tag on it, but I feel that it's giving you a product that probably matches to what we're doing now. Maybe even a little better with the digital setups, but just my opinion. But they have the whole system. They have all the the software, they have the materials, obviously, and they have the mills. So the 3-shape scanners are what they kind of recommend they use. I don't know if it's changed, if they've added on other systems now, but I know 3-shape was one of their main ones. You will need an impression holder to scan impressions, bite registrations, and position. And so the software you would need, obviously you would need the 3-shape software. You would need the full denture module add-on from 3-shape. and you will also need to get the Ivoclar Digital Professional add-on to do these types of cases. And with this software, you can do full dentures, single arches, immediate dentures. So they have a great tooth library. They have all their teeth available. I think the Vivadent S is one that they have that you can utilize. And I have a little video here. We'll see if it works. I hope you can see it. What's nice about milling our own denture teeth is now we can really modify these teeth to be what we want in size and shape, right? Sometimes you might pick a mold and boy, that one's a little too small. Well, that one's a little too big. Well, now we can just get it just right to where we want it, where we need it, especially if you're going to maybe an existing dentition. Maybe you're doing a full upper against a natural lower and teeth have moved and, you know, rotated, and now you need something a little different. So by having that full control and being able to mill or even print your own teeth, it's nice. So, and like with all the 3Shape, they have the articulators built in. They have the Ivoclar Stratus. You know, you can check your centric and lateral adjustments. So very nice system. And they have all the materials, however you want to do it. So they do have the Vivadent CAD DCL material that you would mill for your denture teeth. They have the Ivobase CAD that you would mill for your denture base. They have a ProAct CAD Trion material, which is PMMA, so you can mill a Trion. And they also have a ProArt CAD transfer puck. And basically, we'll show you that in a little bit here. But basically what that's for is making a transfer template. If you want to bond in individual denture teeth, manufacturer's teeth from Ivoclar, you can make like a transfer jig. It's like a matrix that'll hold the teeth in position while you bond them in. And they also have a pink puck where you can design a base plate actually and a rim. You can actually do a wax Trion and put denture teeth in to the wax Trion if you'd like. And they also have the Ivobase CAD bond material that you need for bonding either the DCL material or the denture teeth into the Ivobase CAD systems. So they have their own proprietary bonding material. So again, kind of a picture, a close-up picture more of the pucks that they have for fabrication. You could see that the Ivocad puck doesn't necessarily have a lot of translucency, but they do have one coming. It's more polychromatic. So here's a picture of some teeth, and half of these teeth were our denture teeth manufactured by the manufacturer, and half of them were milled on the Ivoclar system. So can any of you guess which side, left or right, which one is milled? You can see the anatomy looks pretty good. Surface texture and things. I think it's kind of hard to tell, right? But the left side is the CAD. That was all milled on their system. So I think it does a really nice job of replicating their denture teeth. And here it's just kind of knowing that it's coming a polychromatic DCL out. Like I said, it may be available now. I'm not 100% sure. And this Ivobase CAD bond material comes in kind of a pre-measured, pre-dosed type of application. So once you open it and use it, it's done. And I think I have the pricing on it coming up. I think it's like $8 a dose. But we'll see as it comes up here. And again, this is kind of a more close-up. You can kind of see here, there's a picture here of this matrix that's made, kind of a positioning matrix that was milled to kind of hold your single denture teeth from the manufacturer in place while you're eluting that, bonding that to the denture base in the puck still. And then this is the ProArt CAD, and you can see here where they milled the dent and an actual bite rim into it, so you could do that also. It does boil out for conventional, so you don't have to worry about that. It is millable, obviously. So the equipment, as far as the mills, you have to use their system. You know, you have to use either the PM7 and then coming PM5 and PM3, and they seem to be popular. From what I've heard, they're hard to get. Maybe that's not anymore. Maybe they can get them, but just from what I've heard, they're popular and hard to get. If you have a Velan system, you have the Xenotech Select mill, you can get the CAM software upgraded, you can get a puck holder, and you'll be able to utilize that if you'd want. You wouldn't have to buy, you know, a newer mill. But you could if you want. I'm sure they would like that. So just the workflow, again, very similar, right? We're taking the impression and a bite registration all together. We need to get that scanned, and then we got to get a design, and then we can go ahead to mill, and then you can do a mill a try-in. And then once you do the try-in, then you can take it to finish and finalize. So the scanning workflow, like again, you can do impressions, standard impression, analog ways. They have other ways. You could do a functional impression with tracings, functional impressions with resin rims that you can mill if you'd like. But I think most of it was going to come from traditional until we see more doctors get on board with digital impressions or adopt that, you know, technology and take dentures that they're, let's say a patient has a set of dentures and they just want a new one. They like their old one, but just, you know, it's wearing down a little bit and, you know, want to freshen it up, maybe a new color. So taking a wash impression inside and scanning it, and then a patient leaves and basically can come back with a new set of dentures on the second appointment, or maybe a try-in. Like I said, I'm old school. I would like to at least do a try-in, at least until I get more comfortable with this digital technology and how accurate it is and how predictable it is, but that's just me. Again, you know, once doctors kind of adopt the technology, more and more are get involved with, you know, scanning intraoral scanners. I think you'll see a lot more of digital dentures kind of grow because of this technology. And right now, you know, they're pushing that you could scan a maxillary arch and maybe do immediate dentures. I know there's some discussion about scanning the lower bridge because they're difficult with the tissue and the muscles. But there are some people out there that are doing it, and Dr. Valerie McMillan, she was Dr. Valerie Cooper, but she does a lot of digital impressions and probably one of the top in her field. She's a prosthodontist, and if you follow her on Instagram or Facebook, you could see what she's doing, and she shows her scanning techniques. And if you reach out to her, I'm sure she'll help you. And but she's way ahead of the learning curve, and she's been doing this for quite a while. So someone to reach out if you're a clinician on how to scan this, I would seek her out. So the manufacturing, as far as if you want to use manufactured denture teeth, again, time-wise, you do the vestibular milling with the puck, and then you're going to mill the transfer template, and then you're going to bond the teeth with that template, and then it goes back into the mill to do the basal milling, and then you kind of remove the bonder, clean it up, do your finishing, well, you know, probably very minimal because you're designing that, and then polish. So about 60 minutes in labor, Ivoclar says, and about 130 minutes in milling. So what I like is the oversized milling process. I like the concept. I haven't done it. I don't have an Ivoclar system, but I do like this concept. Is what you would do is you would take your puck and you would put it in, and it would mill. They show here about a half hour, and it kind of basically mills the vestibular side a little bit. It's not done yet, but it does mill the sockets for the teeth. Then you would mill your tooth. You put your puck in and mill your teeth, and it's a single arch form. And then you would go ahead and bond it while it's still in the puck. And then you would be using the Ivo-based CAD bond, obviously. And then you would go in, and then it would finish its milling for 90 minutes, and then you can polish it. So what's nice about that is that you don't have to be real careful with the bond material, because you're not, yes, you're getting it on teeth, but it's not, they haven't completely finished being milled. So any excess acrylic or bond resin material, if it gets wherever, it doesn't matter because it's all going to be milled off and cleaned. So that's kind of nice. And you don't have to have that transfer matrix jig to hold the individual teeth in place. So, and you're just seating one solid piece versus 14 individual teeth. So I really like that concept. So 20-minute labor and about 150 minutes in milling time. So again, you know, it's just the Ivoclar system. They have the software, they have the materials, they have the mill, and you're like, well, you know, what would something like that run? So the pucks are about $49 each for the Ivo-based CAD. The tooth puck is about $85. They say you can probably get 2 arches out of that, so drops the price down to half. There's the CAD bond luting material, $8. So you have about $100 in materials, and if you get any sort of customer discount or whatever, maybe you can get it closer down to $90 in material. But you'll need the 3-shape denture module. You'll need a 3-shape scanner. You'll need I guess the Ivoclar add-on denture module is about $950. And one of their mills, the PM7, the big boy, it looks like it retails for about $88,000. So if you have that carrying around, you can just pick one of those up. But I hear it's a nice system, though. It really is. I know these systems aren't cheap, right? Just a little bit of, I'm a big advocate for Facebook or Instagram or any of the social media for sharing work and just looking at other people's work from around the world. And this gentleman, I think, is in the Netherlands, and he's working, he has one of the systems, and this is one of his pictures he's posted and what he's done. So that was nice of him to share that. So everybody knows Lee Culp and Erica Kupka have been working a lot with Ivoclar and kind of running it through its paces and testing it, and they've done a great job. They've actually kind of worked with carbon and the Denture material to kind of put it through its paces. How do they compare? How they look? I didn't actually have their results, but I did talk to Eric and see if I could share some of these pictures of kind of what they've been doing with this. So they've been printing the denture bases. As you can see in the center here, they've got it positioned, and they have this fencing set up here, so you're not really going in the intaglio of the denture. There might be a few you might need on denture cases, so just be aware of that. It's not totally clean on the inside, but it's very minimal. And that's the picture of them working together. So side by side, you can kind of see that's what a printed denture looks like, and Ivoclar milled denture looks like. So to me, like I said, I think the mill looks a little bit more like what we're producing now, and the printed is probably more of a, you know, I hate to say an economical, but I think for the cost of materials and what you're doing and what you can offer to a patient, you know, it still functions. It still works. I mean, maybe it's a little bit more affordable. It may not be a high-end characterized, you know, prostheses that was all handmade and hand carved, but it's not a bad viable option for people. You have here kind of a lateral view kind of showing it. It doesn't look bad, but I thought that they did a really nice job with it. And here's in the patient's mouth, you can kind of see in the top row the printed. The printed looks really nice, actually. The only thing I can see the difference really from what I can tell is maybe the milled teeth have a little bit more surface texture on it. But for all in all, I think a lot of patients would be happy with that. And kind of a closer look of the milled, oversized milling pucks. That's kind of how it looks like when you're ready to lute the teeth in. So once you mill the teeth and you cut them out, and these are oversized too, it's kind of hard to tell in the picture, but you would lute this in and then go for your final milling. So I really, really like that concept. So here it is again, kind of showing the vestibular side, the teeth luted in, and then when it comes out of the mill, and then when you finish it. So I thank them for letting me use their pictures. So another big one that's been around for quite a while is the palette digital dentures. They have different options. I think in the beginning you had to have them design it. They had to print the try-in, and then you had to take the try-in and you can convert it to a denture, or they would do it for you. So, but they've changed. You know, they have different options now, very similar to what we can do with a lot of these systems. Again, the conventional way, time consuming, and so we all been there, done that, and still do that, obviously. But as far as challenges, right? having technicians, again, lack of consistency. It's hard to make a profit just because there's so much time and labor into it. But from what they see is that they think a little over 20% of all adults over 65 have lost all their teeth. They predict by 2020, 39.9, almost 40 million people are going to be fully dentureless. 12 million new dentures made annually. We kind of saw a similar number like that from Avident. 75% of dentures right now need to be replaced. The denture market today is valued at $2.6 billion, and this was from 2014, actually, this slide, but they project by this year it should be $3.6 billion. So we'll see if that holds true. But yeah, the denture market overview, most of the crown and bridge right now, right, is being done digitally. So it only makes sense that, why not do this for our removable side? We know the benefits. Everybody talks about the fit. Everybody talks about exact replication of what the patient had. We're able to do that with digitalization. And again, the same steps, right? The dentist, the clinician does not have to change anything. They can do the regular impressions. We can make their models. We can scan their models. We can mill a bite rim if we want, make a conventional bite rim, get the bite registration. When it comes to the lab, then yes, we could scan it, get the design, and get it to the printer and mill some sort of printed try-in. And here they have a technique. Again, if the doctor wants to have denture teeth, because maybe the shade's really, well, obviously the shade's important, but maybe it's important for the patient to see it at the try-in and want to make sure it's matching maybe some new crown and bridge that was done, or porcelain or existing dentition. But if they're pretty sure, what, it's an A1, you don't necessarily have to see that shade at try-in, as long as you're trying in where the midline, the aesthetics, the bite, the fit, everything is good. That's obviously the most important. So the process, the same thing. Scanning, do a digital setup. We need to print the try-in, and we need to take it to finish. So there really isn't any change on the labs on the dentist side, and we kind of do our normal workflow of pouring the impressions, making a bite rim. Okay, we can finish it, go straight to finish, or we can do a try-in. So kind of the dentist would take a traditional impression. We can scan the models, the bite rims. We do digital articulation, digital setup, and then we can finish it traditionally, or we can have it output it as a digital printed or milled. So again, this is just kind of, like I told you, it's kind of beating a dead horse. This is something very similar to all the systems. So again, scan, articulation, digital setup. We're doing our design, any sort of characterization, whatever you want to do, and then you can go ahead and get it 3D printed. So again, less chair time. Conventional denture minimum is, 5 visits if you're making a custom tray, maybe 4 if you're not. With digital dentures, you can do it in 2, but again, I like 3. I like doing that try-in. I think it's very important. And maybe some, once you start doing it, and like I said, maybe you don't want to do the try-ins, or maybe the clinician that's done quite a few. But you know what? We've been having pretty good luck. I don't think we really need to do a try-in. I think we've got it. You could probably go straight to finish if you want. So Culzer has their printing system, the Cara, that they have that available, and you can check that out at their website. So again, some of the prototype benefits, like I talked about, nice if they want to check the tooth shade, making sure their color is correct. Maybe they want to move some teeth around. Maybe the doctor wants to, mess with the teeth and kind of do a characterized setup in the mouth and make sure the patient likes it. You have that option, so it's kind of nice. Again, we're basically just checking retention, which is the fit, the midline, occlusion, your vertical dimension, smile line, lip support, on and on. I mean, we kind of get it, right? What we're trying to do. Now, let's say you print the try-in and you're like, wow, something's off, the bite was off, and I'm sure this is going to happen. But the doctor can modify, it can take these try-ins and adjust them and get the bite down and get it to a little bit more closer and take a bite registration. You can do that. And then you would just rescan it and and make your adjustments in your digital setup. So again, you can do standard dentures, premium dentures, and it's great for immediate dentures because you have all the information there with their teeth. So it makes it very, very simple. And with the software that's available, on 3Shape, you can take the teeth, highlight the tooth, and just do an extraction, push a button, and it extracts that tooth off your digital scan and smooths the ridge. And so it's actually very simple. So if you're going to print the teeth, or you're going to want to mill the teeth, you do have to purchase their tooth library. It's available through 3Shape and Kulzer, but it's a $5,000 fee per year. So it's not just a matter of buying the software and having it and being able to do it right away. Now you have to, get that unlocked through Kulzer. So just be aware of that, just to know. And same technique, luting in the teeth, bonding in the teeth. We'll talk about this more in part 2, just kind of the protocol. And, it's just not a matter of just luting in the teeth and you're ready to go. It's a lot of post-processing. Different materials have different ways that they need, how they need to be post-processed. So not all materials are the same. So getting the teeth luted in and then a 10-minute cure, and it's ready for polishing. So if you want to pretty it up, you could, add some composite staining, the Creactive, you can stipple it. They said they have all-on-4 coming and can be used for partials. I have not seen that. So I'm actually going to try to contact them and see if I can get more information and hopefully try to include that in part 2. And obviously how the lab benefits, right? You have full control, you can do everything in-house, and you can print in-house. So many benefits. And the pricing for their printer, little $19,000. If they were to design for you, I think they charge you $40 to design, and they make a jig, kind of a transfer jig that you can put the teeth in, and it's more like a giant reduction coping. Basically, you're putting the denture teeth in, and any basal part of the denture tooth that's sticking through, you would grind through and relieve it if you're going to process it traditionally. So you can get this jig from them. They won't allow you to print it. I think you have to get it through them. And then if you want them to print a try-in for you, and it's $50. So, but like I said, I think they want you to do it in-house. So I think they're getting away from that more and more. But if you can print it in-house, it's probably more cost-effective doing your try-in. So there it is there. Like I said, it's not bad. There's no fibers in it. And a lot of these denture, 3D printed dentures have a lot of translucency to them. So you don't see them. So that's why they look a little bit different. And they have all different shade guides and materials and marketing materials. They have digital denture study, which I haven't seen yet. I'd like to see that, just for wear and hold up. And again, just some people that are doing some of the Kulzer printing and things in their lab, and they're kind of, excited to show it. So Joshua Jackson and Andy Johnson, some of their pictures here. So not bad. Okay, so I'm on Gerbach, the Ceramil. So, this system's been out for a while. I've always looked at that. I always admired it. I thought this was great. And then, I thought, though, the only way I could do it is I can do a digital setup, mill it in wax, and set the denture teeth in it, and then process it conventionally. So it was kind of like digital assisted. It wasn't necessarily fully digital, but that's now changed. They do now have offerings where with the Vita Bionic, you can now mill denture teeth. You can mill a denture puck through the Vita Bionic materials, and you can do it conventionally milled, or you can do the Baltic denture system. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But the Ceramil FDS is full denture system, is basically milling it in wax. So I like the idea. I thought it was a good way to get into digital dentistry, producing the digital dentures, but I really wanted a full workflow, so it wasn't something that I had jumped on board with just because of that. But now they have those options. So here, just kind of showing kind of the same workflow, right? It's the scanning, it's the designing, but in this particular case, if you're doing the FDS system, you're setting denture teeth in wax, and that way, if you have a doctor that still wants the teeth set in wax and do a full try-in, but you want to, do your setup digitally, that's definitely an option. Definitely a nice option, and then you can process it traditionally if you'd like. You have that option too. The Vita Vionic and the Baltic are a little bit different. Again, this is just kind of showing a more laid out of the producing it in wax. These are the articulator, virtual articulator, doing your setup. The denture teeth come on a special card that can go into the CeraMill and it'll mill the basal reduction. So when you design it, if you have a molar back here and you really have to cut a lot of this basal part of the tooth away to get it to fit in the position you want, that's what the milling does to the teeth. It would mill that. And then you can fit it into your wax try-in, check your bite, make sure everything's good, and you're ready to go. And down here, you can see these are how the teeth come. The Kulzer teeth come in the same type of card that's made for milling. If you flip it over, you would see the basal side, and this side they're showing you the occlusal side and the facial side. So again, doing the CeraMill way, they say their working time, about 62 minutes. And if you were doing it the traditional analog way, it takes about 162 minutes. And that's just from impression taking to try-in. So just kind of a nice company photo here. I don't know if this is how it milled. I don't know if it's been touched up and someone made it a little bit more characterized and more aesthetic. But either way, looks very nice. And so then now this is the Vita, if you want to mill it now. So again, kind of get it scanned in. You have your virtual articulator. You are mounting it on the Artix articulator. Then they scan it. Going to go ahead and do your design. Again, your tooth basal reduction. You're milling the Vita Vionic blanks. And then you're going to go ahead and bond them in. They have their bond, kind of like the Ivo-based CAD bond. They have that. You can loop these into the denture base, fine-tune your bite, and you can take it to finish. So they have all the solutions there for digital dentistry with the CeraMill. Now this is the Baltic denture system. I've seen it at shows. I've learned a little bit about it via the internet here. I'm actually have an appointment to meet with somebody to get a little bit more in-depth information on this system. But basically, these pucks kind of come already pre-made, and they already have the denture teeth. You can see on the lower right-hand side, the teeth are already bonded, and it's already milled, and you already have your gingival contour there above the tissue, or above the neck of the tooth there, but then you have the remaining puck that's going to be milled to finalize it. But the thing with the Baltic denture system is that the dentist now has to use this key set, so they have to be trained on using these keys, and there's different size denture. They're like pre-made dentures. They're all white, and the doctor would use this to size it up on the patient. I believe they're taking an impression inside of this, taking a bite registration, kind of a little face bow they're doing to capture all the information, so it can now get scanned and designed and then get milled. So you don't have to lute the teeth then. It's already done for you. They're made. I think they come like small, medium, or large in size, and it can be adapted. So very interesting concept. So that's the Baltic denture system. And again, they kind of tout the same thing. This is all the steps here on the left for conventional impressioning, models, bite, try-in, and everything we have to do. Versus if they did the Baltic system, they can do their impressioning, bite registration. We make it, get it finished, and it goes right back for their second appointment. They're done. So it's definitely option that's out there. I just, just want to make sure that clients are willing to change their techniques, using this key set, the little kit that the dentist will need to get you the information, capture the data that we need. Again, they have their BD Creator, the software that comes with that, and they also have, holder for it for milling. So you can see here on the left, this is before it's milled and after it's milled. It's definitely a nice alternative or option. The scanners that you could use with this system for the Ceramill 3Shape, Dental Wings, Medit are probably some of the more popular ones here in the States. The CAM software, HyperDent, hear a lot of good things about the HyperDent, and then the milling machines, and in the States here, I believe it would be the Amon Gerbach. So the popular CAD software today that we have is 3Shape and then exocad. I don't want to bore you with this. We'll kind of go through this real quick. You're probably familiar with it. I'm not going to play this whole video, but basically it just kind of shows real quick once you scanned in your traditional models and bite rims of how quick you can mark the occlusal plane, and you can mark all your anatomical landmarks that are needed to help tell the software where to put the teeth in position, and then obviously you have your bite rim to help and guide you set the teeth where you would like them to be. So, and I know we might be running a little bit behind on time here, so just want to show you just real quick this outline. It's actually pretty simple. I think once you kind of work through it and go through the steps, it's actually, like I said, it's pretty simple to do. So we'll stop that there. This is the exocad version. Very simple, same principle. Marking anatomical landmarks, occlusal plane, setting your teeth in position, and then you can move these teeth and alter them singly, by quadrant, however you'd like. You have that full control. Real quick, now it's like, okay, I have my design. I need to print a try-in. I need to print the base, however you want to do it. But Carbon has the Clip 3D printing process, allows it to print up 25 to 100 times faster than the usual 3D printing technique. And it's a nice system. It's not cheap. It's about $50,000 a year to lease. There's certain add-ons, installation price. There's also just a printer industrial accessory pack you'll need, shaker, oven, lights, and things like that. And there's probably other things that you would need. It's a really nice system. It does print very fast. It does, and it's very accurate. It's a very nice system. So you can see here, there's some photos up here by Alexander Vunci. Been working a lot with Carbon. He's got some very nice results with it. So you can do trays, guides, soft tissue, just a little bit, I believe. I don't know if it's from Alexander or Midwest Dental, but this was on Facebook also. Just kind of showing you, a little bit about the design and what it could look like. So it looks like here they put some pink composite on a try-in base and tinted the teeth a little bit. It looked very nice. And with Carbon, you can't just use any material. Just like all printers, you have to use the materials that they use for their system or they recommend, because they're validated for their printers. So it's not a matter of saying, well, I want to switch materials. And so you just have to make sure they're validated and they'll work with it. Denture material. World's first FDA cleared printable denture base and tooth materials. And I know Denture makes a lot of stuff for different manufacturers, so you might be using Denture material and not know it. Drevi makes some material. I wanted to show you this little video, just kind of show some denture teeth, kind of showing a design for custom trays, and then you can print them with their material. And again, the post-processing is a little bit different. These have to be cured in a light cure box with a nitrogen material for their material. So just want, again, we'll talk more about that in part 2. about the post-processing. And Whitmix now has their denture base, their tooth material, and their try-on material also. So that's kind of nice. This is a nice printer. I happened to see this last year, and if anybody follows Sherry Weatherby on Facebook, she's always promoting and showing different things that laboratories have printed. Actual labs are actually using it, not just something that's done in-house. So kind of real world results. So yeah, so if you want a nice printer, this is a nice printer to look at. Here's one of the ones that she shared on Facebook, and I think it was one of their first ones. And yeah, nice results. I mean, I think this is great. And then real quick, Blue Sky Bio. The reason I mention it is because it is a free software right now. You could if you have a scanner, you can download the software, scan, design digital dentures into their system. They're producing dentures, and they're saying as little as 2 appointments under $30 an arch. So if that's something you want to look at, they do have the software. I have not used this, but I thought it would be worth sharing because it's definitely a viable option. And these are some of the printers and scanners and the materials that kind of work with the Blue Sky Bio, but I think it's more open source, so you might be able to use more materials. Again, I recommend you kind of checking them out. I believe they use some of the NextDent materials that are out there. And just to give you an idea, the Shining 3D scanner is $5,000. The software is free. You can get a printer for $4,000. You can get the NextDent material. So kind of a entry-level way to kind of get into digital dentures. So one thing to think about, I saw this, thought that was very interesting. When we start digital designing dentures, who will have the legal rights to retain the data? Will it be the lab? Will it be the dentist? Or will it be the patient? So I just want to leave you with that thought. Something to have a nice discussion with somebody, because something to think about. So I'd like to thank you. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, I'm with Ottawa Dental Lab. That's my personal email there. You can find me on Facebook, Damaged Goods, Instagram. I kind of Facebook like a 14-year-old girl. So, anyway, you can get a hold of me. So, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, Mark, thanks so much. Great job. Appreciate it. Just want to remind everyone that this was just part one of a 2-part program. Maybe Mark can give a little bit of what he's going to be covering next week, next Tuesday, exactly a week from today. And it'll be at 11 o'clock, same time. And I think most of you have that invitation. In this first part, we saw a lot about the systems that are available today and what's coming out soon. Mark, you want to just give them a moment about what they'll be seeing next week?
Yeah, what I'd like to kind of go over is a little bit about the actual fabrication, a little bit about the milling and the printing and the protocol of, what's needed for some of the different systems, and, kind of share why some of the materials need to be light cured with nitrogen and some don't. So that's kind of what we'll be looking at, some of the design.
Great. Well, I look forward to it for sure. I'm sure most of you do as well. This is the first time in a very long time we've had no questions, and I think this is because Mark did just an excellent job at covering the details on the different systems available. So that's a great thing, I guess. And I will just remind everyone that if you are a CDT, you'll be contacted at the same email address that you registered with, and it'll give you all the information and a little test as to how you'll be able to get those that 1 hour credit. And then also remember that this has been recorded, so if any of your staff wasn't able to attend today, there will be the program up on the Whitmix webinar site. So just go to whitmix.com, look for a webinar at the top of the homepage, and you'll see it right away. So again, I'd like to thank you, Mark, for doing a great job, and thank you all for visiting with us today, and look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same station. Take care. Bye-bye.
Great. Thank you.